Hello and welcome back to Speak Like a Leader. Today we will be focusing on a growing trend that is being strongly discussed right now on all social media, on all media around the world, and that is no other than the US elections. The whole purpose of this channel is to prepare you for discussing any single topic that arises at work, and this is the one that is being discussed everywhere. So today we are going to learn the necessary English for elections. English vocabulary that will help you discuss the US elections in a business context. Since the US elections are on everybody's minds right now, dominating headlines globally, it's no surprise that these political conversations are making their way into the business world, into your business world. So stick around, because by the end of this video, you will know exactly how to discuss the US elections like a pro. So why are the US elections so important to discuss in a business setting? Well now, elections, especially the ones in the US, have a massive impact on global business. Changes in policies, in regulations, or trade agreements can affect industries, markets, and economies all around the world. That's why it is critical to have the right vocabulary when discussing these topics. Not only will this help you sound more professional in a business setting, but it also allows you to engage in meaningful conversations about how these political changes are going to influence global trends, are going to influence your industry, or even your own company. So let me give you some background information on the US elections that you really need to know. During this process, we will get to see how much of this vocabulary you can actually catch. Okay, because it's not easy. There might be quite a little bit of terminology here that you are not familiar with or you have never used before. Okay, so let's go through it, and I will of course explain everything as we're moving along. Did you know that the US elections are held every 2 and 4 years, and they determine key political offices including the presidency, congressional seats, and state-level positions? Do you understand this statement? What are congressional seats? Well, there are 535 congressional seats. So basically 535 representatives in the United States, and those are the people that create laws and they pass the laws. Okay, so Congress in general has two parts. The Senate with 100 representatives. That means 2 representatives per state. So since there are 50 states in the US, there are 100 representatives in the Senate. And in addition to these 100 representatives, there are another 435 representatives in the House of Representatives, as they call it. Now, the number of House representatives in each of the 50 states depends on their population. So the larger states have more representatives in the House of Representatives, and the smaller ones have less. In the presidential election years, voters decide between candidates from major parties, like the Democrats and the Republicans, along with some third-party candidates. Now, this is where most people get confused. Let's first see the difference between Democrats and Republicans. Democrats are generally associated with progressive policies. So what they do is they support government intervention in the economy, they support social justice, they support access to healthcare, environmental protection, and stronger social safety nets. Okay, those are the Democrats. On the other hand, the Republicans are typically associated with conservative policies. So they emphasize limited government intervention, lower taxes, free market principles, individual responsibility, and traditional social values. It can sometimes be difficult to distinguish whether a political party is a democratic or Republican one, and there are several reasons for this. First of all, sometimes there are regional differences. So within each party, there can be several regional variations. For example, a Democrat in a conservative state may have more conservative positions than others. Also, sometimes their positions will change, they will evolve. So both parties' platforms can shift from time to time. For example, Republicans can be more associated with progressive policies, and these shifts can make historical distinctions confusing for all of us. Also, in some issues, their opinions overlap. So on certain issues, both Democrats and Republicans may share similar positions. On topics like, for example, national security, economic development. And this overlap makes it harder to differentiate them. Also, in some parties, there are some individual politicians, some politicians who don't strictly follow their party's official platform. So they might hold mixed positions on both sides, making it hard to label them as a Democratic or a Republican party. And number 5, sometimes they do it on purpose. Did you know that? So in their political messaging, sometimes the parties will strategically adjust their messages to appeal, of course, to more people. So they adopt policies that are associated with the opposing party so that this is further confusing for us to understand. Let's talk about what's on everybody's mind, and of course that is the upcoming election. The 2024 US presidential election is shaping up to be a significant event scheduled for November the 5th this year. So in less than 2 months, the US will have a new president. Exciting, right? Now, who are the 2 candidates? Incumbent President Joe Biden initially pursued his re-election, but he withdrew from the race in July this year, endorsing Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the Democratic Party nominee. Now, I think most of you will now ask me what the word incumbent means. So, the incumbent president, Joe Biden, refers to the current president in the office. Okay, so the term incumbent is used to describe someone who holds a specific position or office during an election period. Okay, is that clear? For example, if a sitting president is running for re-election, they are referred to as the incumbent president. There's a new word for you today. And what does endorsing mean? Well, Joe Biden endorsing Kamala Harris means that he supports her efforts in representing the Democratic Party in the next elections instead of him. Okay, now on the Republican side, we have no other than the former president, Donald Trump, and he's running for re-election after losing in 2020. Facing multiple indictments and legal challenges related to his actions during and after his presidency. A nice expression here is running for re-election. Notice the word running, which is used in elections. Also, what does indictment mean? When someone is facing multiple indictments, it means, and careful of the pronunciation is indictment. It's not the same as how it's written. It means that this person has been formally charged with several criminal offenses in separate legal cases. So Donald Trump is currently facing 4 major criminal indictments, across various cases, such as falsifying business records, attempting to overturn the 2020 presidential election, and obstructing an official proceeding, and so on and on. Okay, now whether these are true or not remains to be seen, remains to be decided at the Court of Justice. The only sure thing is that these elections are going to be very, very interesting. Okay, so if you do decide to participate in discussions of the US elections, you will find that many people have very strong opinions on who they would like as the new president of the United States. Some people are Democrats, others Republicans. Some have a lot to gain or lose based on the outcome of this election. So here we are coming across a very, very important point. If you do decide to engage in a political conversation in business, be very careful to state your opinion in a respectful and open-minded manner. Always research your preferred candidate and focus your arguments on how this candidate can achieve greater results rather than talk poorly, talk badly about the opponent. It also sounds more professional to focus on the business implications related to each candidate's agenda, rather than to focus on gossip or any personal issues, like whose political agenda will mostly benefit your industry's growth, or which political party will support social and environmental causes. For example, changes in leadership could affect international trade agreements, tax policies, or even environmental regulations, all of which could influence the global economy. You might be in a conversation where someone says, if this candidate wins, there could be a shift in trade tariffs that will impact our supply chain. Now, instead of just nodding along, you'll be able to respond with something like this. Yes, I agree, and I think the candidate's foreign policy might also play a significant role in how the international markets respond to these changes. Using this kind of language shows that you're not just aware of political events, but also how they're connected to global business trends. And that is what makes you sound like a true leader. Now, regardless of your opinion, there are, of course, official polls for the 2024 US presidential elections showing a close race between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. So nationally speaking, Harris leads Trump by narrow margins in many polls, though some show Trump with a slight advantage in specific states. Narrow margins means the numbers are very close. For example, Kamala Harris leads nationally by around 2 to 3 points, but Trump holds small leads in battleground states like Arizona and Pennsylvania. Okay, what are battleground states, you're going to ask me? Battleground states are known as swing states as well. And they are the states in the United States presidential election where both of the big parties, both of the major political parties, have similar levels of support among voters. These states are crucial because they can swing the outcome of the election. It could go either way. Candidates often focus their campaigns, their marketing efforts on these states, so they can win the necessary votes that they need for the presidency. Moving on, the presence of third-party candidates, such as Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and others, could also impact the dynamics, particularly in swing states. Now, due to the importance of this election, voter turnout is expected to be really high, potentially close to the 2020's record turnout of 66.6%, where in 2020 over 162 million ballots were anticipated. Voter turnout refers to the number of people who will actually show up to vote. Now, in many elections, voter turnout is usually quite low, but when things are critical, most people do show a greater interest in voting for their country. They are more engaged due to the high stakes of the election, and they're interested in issues like inflation, the financial crisis, democracy, issues that continue to drive voter enthusiasm. So understanding how to discuss the US elections isn't just about sounding smart in conversations. It's about being informed. It's about making better decisions and understanding the global forces that impact your business. By knowing the right vocabulary, you will be able to read the news, read articles, watch political debates, and engage with content on a much deeper level. And this in turn helps you stay up to date with the latest trends and make informed decisions that could influence your business strategy. To sum it up, learning how to discuss the US elections in a business setting is essential for any professional who is looking to lead their team, to lead their company. By mastering the vocabulary and understanding the connection between politics and global business, you will be able to confidently engage in conversations that actually matter. So start practicing, practice these terms, and let me know in the comments if you have had any interesting conversations recently about the US elections. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so you never miss out on a new video from Speak Like a Leader. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.